and that's cheese. Cheese wars. Yeah, all right, it's coming. Cheese lovers will know that Gruyère is a firm, hard and tangy Swiss cheese. But French and Swiss cheesemakers, as well as government officials, are figuring out how to respond to a US court ruling that declares that Gruyère is a generic name for cheese and therefore can be made anywhere. It doesn't have to be made where it's famously made.
International law for cheese should mean cheese is made wherever you make cheese. I don't know. Let's talk to some cheese people.
I seem to remember there being a sort of row about it in Somerset over cheddar and things like that. So we have some very special guests this morning.
I'm starving.
We're joined by Arthur. We're joined by Arthur and Mags Alsop from Alsop and Walker, which is the artisan cheesemakers, very, very famous, especially in Borough Market, I think.
Yes, it is.
Yes, absolutely. So basically, the first question we should ask while Stephen gets a bit of cheese.
Can I have some cheese?
You can.
The Lord London.
This is a very famous one, I think, the Lord London.
Yes.
Have a look at
right.
It's an interesting shape, quite apart from anything else.
There we are.
Go on.
Yeah, Stephen.
And I've been assured these are vegetarian as well, aren't they?
They are. They're made with vegetarian rennets.
Yeah. So what does this mean? If the US is saying we can make Gruyère, it doesn't have to be made in Switzerland or France, can they grab any name? I mean, your Lord London, could that be hijacked?
The Lord London, we've actually stopped anyone using the name Lord London.
You have been able to do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop anyone else making the Lord London or making it in a similar style. So, for instance, you've got Sussex Brie and Sussex Camembert there. You can use those names.
Say that now, can you?
Yes, yes.
So if we want to try the best Lord London, we look for your Lord London.
Absolutely.
This is a royal cheese, is it now?
It is.
Well, what happened was when we heard London had won the Olympics, we wanted to make a grab-and-go cheese for the Olympics.
Oh, it's nice.
And do it as a launch for the Olympics.
Lovely.
And then later on, at a later date, a caterer came up to me and we were going through the different cheeses that they wanted to use in an event. And I said, oh, Lord London. And they said, oh, I'm very familiar with that. And I said, oh, how do you know that one? And he said, oh, we used it for the royal wedding breakfast for...
Kate and Will's?
Yes, yes.
Oh, wow.
And so then I learned that after the event, which was very nice, obviously.
Tell us about the Lord London. What is it? I love the shape of it for a start.
So basically, it's a cow's milk cheese, and it ripens slightly from the inside, but from the outside. So the mould on the outside is a mixture of penicillins and yeasts. And it's called a mould ripening cheese. So you'll see that if you hold it up.
Yeah, I'm holding up the Lord London.
On the outside, near the mould, there's a softer bit.
Yes.
As the mould is starting to ripen the cheese from the outside in.
And you are meant to eat it, aren't you? Because I always like that.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
You've been down that end, slicing away like there's no tomorrow.
I know.
I mean, do we have a passion for cheese in this? Even though a lot of the cheese we get isn't necessarily English now, but do we have a passion for cheese?
Oh, I think so. Yes,
Yeah.
we do lots of markets. Well, sometimes outside markets. The demand there is absolutely great. You're eating the truffled brie at the moment.
Oh, my.
That's a truffle brie.
Oh, my.
And that's made by you?
Yes.
Where do you make it?
Down in Five Ashes in East Sussex, near Mayfield.
Oh, how lovely.
That's a camembert. Let's try it. That truffle brie, it's almost got a filling to it.
Yes, it has. So we slice it in half, create the middle, put it back together and leave it to ripen for a bit longer and then sell it.
Come on, we've got these huge ones on the table here. Like that. What are they?
That's the Mayfield.
The Mayfield. Which one should I try?
That's the Sussex Brie.
All right, thank you very much. Isn't it lovely
that's the Sussex Camembert, that one.
It's lovely that cheese is going all over
How do we... You've got a proper cheese... How do we cut cheese and the big ones and things?
So on the big ones, you just
Here we
put them on the cheese wire.
I love those cheese wires. They're amazing, aren't they?
And this is where the wire snaps, but it didn't this time. It didn't this time. And then you have your cheese cut.
Now, we all cheese is expensive, isn't it? I mean, when you just go to the supermarket, if anyone, not that anyone would, I suppose, I mean, what does one of those go for? A whole bowl, or whatever you call it.
I mean, a whole
wheel.
A wheel. I should know that.
A whole wheel weighs about 20 kilos.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a lot of cheese.
It's a fair bit. So in this particular one, the culture that cheese is a live product,
yes.
and we have to keep it alive.
Yeah.
And the culture that we use, one of the cultures, makes the holes by breathing out carbon dioxide. And they slowly get bigger and bigger as they live in the maturing rooms.
Yeah, some are very well known for their holes, aren't they? That's
Yes.
the look, I suppose. But, I mean, in France, there's this row that they're really worried in France that Camembert is being outsold by mozzarella. I mean, you know, France and Italy are up in... They're very upset about it, basically. What's our favourite cheese? I mean, you would always say cheddar in this country, wouldn't you? Or would you?
Well, possibly not. I mean, we have... we possibly do about 900 different varieties of cheese in this country, and in France, I think it's about 700 and something. So we have a lot of variety, but the thing is that generally there may be this...
Stephen's stuffing it in! I can't believe it.
But there may be
I'm having a little nibble, but there's no way you can even ask a question now, is there? Sorry, do go on.
No, so there might be this sort of row going on in the background, but amongst cheesemakers, there possibly isn't this row, because cheesemakers tend to work together, because everyone's got such a bespoke product. So if I'm having a problem and I'm saying, oh, I can't get such and such to work at the moment, I'll ring up another cheesemaker or another two or three and say, oh, I'm having this problem with the cheese. And they'll say, oh, try this or try that, and vice versa. So we tend to actually work together, or if we're out visiting or doing trade shows, at the end of the trade show, we'll often sit down together and swap the contacts that we got.
Cheeses.
Yeah.
Do you know, we've run out of time on the programme, I'm sorry to say. Do you want to say goodbye before you put that in?
Bye-bye.
Yes.
This is the nicest cheese I'm on Slimming World, so I don't get to eat cheese very much.
Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you so much for bringing
You're so welcome.
Absolutely fab cheeses. People in London particularly want to access your cheeses. Borough Market.
Market,
Okay.
absolutely,
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.